Welcome back to another live stream. How is everyone doing? All right, let's get this started. As usual, just want to make sure that the stream is doing fine. You guys can see the video, can see the audio, can hear the audio. Make sure there's no glitches or no echo, no distortion. Everything is working fine. Let me know in the chat if everything is okay while I drink my coffee. I'll wait for the feedback. All right, just make sure. Am I even talking to myself? Thanks, Wolfie. Thanks for the feedback. I'll just wait for one more, just in case. Who knows? Someone from other parts of the world may experience some difficulties. All right, we have 48 people watching already. That's quite good. 51 people. Let me check the stats on the stream. 0% drop frame, which is very good. Everything is fine. Thanks, Suba. I appreciate that. All right, we have 2 feedback already. As usual, I'll say hi to people first. Greet you guys, of course, as we come in. And then I'll give you guys some updates on what's happening in my life. And then we dive into the topic, all right? So if you are a member, your name will be highlighted in green and there's a star badge next to your name, and I'll prioritize my responses to your chats. I will get to every single chat. Don't worry, if you're not a member, just wait for a little bit. I'll get to you a little bit later. Wolfie says, hey Robin, hey Wolfie, nice to see you here. You're early today. Azha says, Insta360? I don't know. Like, is it even a good idea for them to come into Micro Four Thirds? We'll talk about that. Wolfie says, I assume you read the news about Panasonic discontinuing very popular and good lenses. The Panasonic 12-60, Panasonic 25 f1.4, and Panasonic 42.5 f1.7. I saw the news, but that's not really what this stream is all about. It's more like I'm concerned on the direction of where the Micro Four Thirds is heading. Is there even a future for Micro Four Thirds? And I guess we can talk about what Panasonic and OM Digital Solutions can do to make sure that there is a future, what they need to change. And I think they need to take action immediately, as soon as possible, before it is too late, right? Yeah, not so much of, like they discontinue this, discontinue that. That happens all the time. Wolfie says, hey to all shutterbuggers and picture snappers. You look great and sound good. Thank you so much. Chris says, hello Robin and all. Good sound and vision here in the UK. Thank you so much, Chris. Nice to see you here. Tomato says, good evening Robin and all. Hey Tomato, always very happy to see you. Wolfie says, don't worry, I talk to myself all the time. Answer to myself too. Let's hope that's not true here, hey. Who says, I've been hiding in the shadows for 3 hours to catch your stream. Wow. Shadows, hey. Okay. Jeff says, hey Robin, everyone. Hey Jeff, very good to see you again. Welcome to the stream. Suva says, Micro Four Thirds feels like it's dying. Yeah, it feels like it, isn't it? Like it's been not doing very well for the past several years. The market share is shrinking, especially after JIP took over Olympus, or after Olympus gave up on the imaging business, right? It was carved out and became OM Digital Solutions. It has been the downhill trajectory ever since. Yeah. Levin says, hey Robin, I really hope Panasonic will release a refreshed GX camera or even an updated G100, G97, as I want to stick with Micro Four Thirds. And that's also what we will talk about. What are the things that Panasonic can do to make sure that Micro Four Thirds stay relevant and that it will continue to survive on in this very difficult situation. Vapagamoka says, good evening Robin. Hey Vapagamoka, very good to see you again. Thanks for the update, Suba. Thanks, Vapagamoka. I appreciate that. Thank you, Jari. And nice to see you, Jari. Welcome to the stream. Franco says, hello from France, Robin. Hey, Franco. Good to see you here. Wayne says, hello from Delaware, US. Love your content. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining the stream. All right, I've caught up with the chat. Oh, no, there's one more. Bionic Zion says, finally went digital and went with Olympus. Pick up an EM1 Mark 1 and the 4150. Is it the 4150 f4 to 5.6 or is it f2.8 Pro? Had to buy an MMF adapter for the lens. Oh, then it's not a Micro Four Thirds lens. Why? Just go for the Micro Four Thirds option. They'll be so much better. Hey Rippy, good to see you. Yeah, we're gonna do the Clang photo walk, right? That's like in 2 weeks' time. Hopefully that happens. Right. El Mia says, I was just about to buy a GH5 to start my photography and videography journey, so seeing the current state of Micro Four Thirds right now is a bit disheartening. It is. I'm not gonna lie, it is disheartening. But before we go deep into the topic, let me just give you guys some updates on what's been happening in my life. On Monday, I released a video which is about me shooting with this red color. This looks so good, right? Red Olympus EPL6, which I got for very, very cheap in the market. I bought this red color because it was Chinese New Year and beginning of the year. And for us Chinese, red is a very auspicious color. It brings in good fortune, good luck, and all those amazing things that we believe in. Good fortune, right? So I use this camera together with this cheap 40-150R. I brought it to a theater at Kuala Lumpur Performing Arts Centre, Kelpak, which happens to be my client. But this time, it wasn't a job. I wasn't hired to shoot. I bought my ticket. I attended the play as an audience. So I had a seated position. I was fixed at that seat. I cannot move around during the show. So I used this entry-level budget old Micro Four Thirds camera paired with a budget telephoto lens, which is very small, very easy to carry, just one lens to do everything for that particular shoot. And I had no choice but to shoot at ISO 25,600. Well, not all. I think most of the shots, about 70% of the shots, were taken at ISO, or maybe not 70%, maybe 50% of the shots were taken at ISO 12,800. A lot of them were taken with ISO 16,000. And some of them were taken with ISO 25,600. I think about 30%, 20% of the shots, especially towards the end when the lighting was blue and everything. It was not a choice. I had no choice because this was a dark lens. It's f4 to f5.6. Lighting wasn't very good. I don't know, I received some comments on that video saying that, oh, Robin, the lighting looks fine. You know, like, of course, if the light is fine, then the high ISO photo will look good. I mean, seriously, guys. If the light was bright enough, why do I even use ISO 25,600 in the first place? The reason I used ISO 25,600 and went so high was because the light was very dim in the first place. If I can get away with ISO 3200, 1600, why do I want to use ISO 25,600? That makes zero sense. And if you really look at the as-if data that I've shared on every single photograph, at the end of the video I also shared on the screen of this camera, scrolling through the images, showing you the as-if data of each image, like it was straight out of camera on the screen. So I cannot lie. You can see the data on the raw images, the shutter speed, the ISO, and the aperture that I use for every single shot. It wasn't a lie, because some people say, oh, Robin, you lied about the numbers, you changed the numbers, you edited, blah, 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 blah. No, it's straight from the camera screen. You can look at the end of the video. And even at ISO 25,600, a lot of times I get shutter speeds below 1/100th, and that's very dangerous. Thankfully, the actors, they did not move very fast on stage. They did move, but not like rapid movement or anything. So 1/100th or anything close to that was sufficient for me to get the action shots, to get the moments on stage. So yeah, I had no choice but to use ISO 25,600. And the message of that video, I feel is very important, because in the video I said that noise is not the end of the world. And I did show 100% view of these photographs at Pixel Peep. I show you guys that I left the noise intact. I know I can use the AI denoise software to get rid of the noise, but I chose not to. I've used those softwares before. I'm very well aware of their capabilities, but I chose not to because noise didn't bother me. And I believe that the noise didn't take away anything meaningful from those photographs. The photographs that I've captured of that play still successfully captured the story, the emotion, the expressions from the actors, and overall, the moments were also very well preserved in those photographs. If I've successfully captured all those important elements in those photographs, noise doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world, and I don't really care. All right, that's the main message. Don't worry too much about noise. Don't put too much importance in the noise. Capture the moment first, because it's better to have a photograph with the right moment and the noise in the photograph rather than not having anything at all. Right? That's the main message of the video. I think it's very important. If you have not watched that video, please do so. I thought it's quite special. And I don't have a lot of opportunities that allows me to go very high in ISO numbers. I don't want to just increase the ISO numbers unnecessarily, right? Oh, I can shoot with ISO 3200, but I increase all the way to ISO 25600 just for the sake of seeing what happens if I use ISO 25600. So those kind of tests, which is normally done by most photographers, reviewers, YouTubers, content creators, bloggers, everywhere, see the content, they just increase the numbers, put the camera on a tripod, like, I mean, you can just get away with ISO 200, right? But they just increase the numbers to see what happens, right? So that was not very reflective of real life application. So what I showed you in that video was an actual shoot. It really happened in a situation where I had no choice but to go all the way to ISO 12800 and in some shots 25600, maxing out the ISO number on the EPL6. I thought that was very important because, hey, it's not always I get this kind of chance. Right? Usually, when I do my job, of course, I use my EMR Mark II. Has better ISO control already compared to this camera. It has powerful 5-axis mesh stabilization. And I use my f1.8 lenses. I don't use this 40-150R, which is f4 to f5.6. And I can get to go close. I can move around, so I wasn't in a fixed position. So the closer you are to the subject, the more light you have to work with, because the further you are from the subject, the less light, because the light is so far away, right? It's reflected. So the further you are, the less light you have. The closer you are, the more light you have. So being closer, using f1.8 lenses, of course, I don't need ISO 25600. But in this situation, I really had no choice. So I thought, hey, this is a real situation where I have to use this ISO number. So it actually shows that it actually was perfectly fine. All right, enough of this video on Monday. This coming Sunday, I am going to join a photo walk by my friend Azul. As you can see on the screen, it's a photo walk organized by Fujifilm Malaysia. Yes, you heard it right. I'm joining a Fuji photo walk. And that also means I have a Fuji camera. I'm not going to tell you what camera I have. I don't think I've told anyone yet. Only one or two friends that I've been with in the past few weeks saw that camera. I don't think they are here in this live stream, so you probably wouldn't know about this anyway. All right. And this photo walk will be headed by my friend Azul, so looking forward to seeing him in action again. And yeah, it'll be in black and white, a black and white photo walk. So I don't know how it's going to be, what the program will be. All I need to do is to show up at GMBB, which is the same location as my photography workshop, which I did with Peter Fosgard and Mati Sulanto. Looking forward to return to the location, just join the photo walk and have fun along with other photographers taking photos in the morning. Now, a lot of people have asked me, Robin, why don't you do your own photo walks? Why don't you organize workshops or photo outings in Kuala Lumpur where people can just come and sign up and participate and have fun with you, right? Well, here's the thing, like as much as I enjoy being with people, as much as I enjoy interacting with other photographers, oftentimes when I do my photo walk, if I'm really serious about getting the shots, I prefer to be alone or with a very small group of friends. And when we shoot, we don't talk, we shoot, right? Or else it's just going to be a social catch-up, talk, chit-chat session, right? And nothing gets done. And I want shots. I want good photographs. I don't know if you guys realize this, but getting good shots, it matters to me, right? So I'm not going to waste like going out 3-4 hours, organizing a photo walk, trying to conduct a workshop or, do a photo outing where I'm the organizer. I have to make sure everything runs well and I don't get to shoot. And I have to make sure everyone is, all I want is to shoot, right? So I don't know. I don't feel like doing it at the moment. I've done a lot of workshops, a lot of events, photography events for Olympus in the past when I was the Olympus visionary, and of course when I work for Olympus officially in the company. So I did a lot of these events, but then again it was work. It's different, right? So I was an ambassador and I was required to do those events, but now I'm not required to do any of those, and I am perfectly happy just doing my own things. So there's that. Next week, I will be away from Kuala Lumpur on Monday. I'll be flying home to my hometown Kuching in Borneo for 1 week, and that's because it is the anniversary of my mom's death. Yes, it has been a year since my mom passed away. And knowing that it is a 1 year anniversary, there's a lot of things to do. A lot. I'm not going to go into details because a lot of these things are private and it's between me and my relatives and my close friends, my mom's close friends in Kuching and the church members. So I'm not going to go into details of the things that I have to do, but all I can say is the trip home next week will require me to do a lot of things. I will be quite busy. I will still catch up with some friends next week, some people that I really have not seen since last year. But yeah, I'll be very, very busy. I need to do a lot of things for mom. And it will be quite a difficult time for me because I'll have to return home, my house where my mom resided. I have to face a lot of things, and most of the time I will be alone. And I have to deal with a lot of things. Grief is not easy. And usually, and it's even harder because my mom died one day before her birthday. So, it's not just the memories of her passing, it's also the memories of me celebrating her birthday every year at the same time. And it just coincided with her death. So, yeah, I'm not saying that I don't want to go through it or it'll be very difficult or whatever. It's just that, yeah, it's something that I have to do next week and hopefully I'll survive it. Right, so I'm not going to bore you guys with the details. That's my personal life. Just saying that I'll be away next week. So if I'm not around to reply YouTube comments next week, if you see that I just disappear for a few days, rest assured that I'm fine. I'm just dealing with things and I need time to deal with things. All right, so that's next week. Okay, that's it for the updates. I'll be away. I'm joining a photo walk. Yeah, next week I'll be gone. I won't be here in Kuala Lumpur next week. Okay, let's get to the chat. I'll answer a few chats and then we'll dive right into the topic, right? What's the future for Micro Four Thirds? But let's have some coffee first. Coffee is good. Okay, Gregor says, hello from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Wow, on the road to New Orleans. Nice. On the road. Don't tell me you're driving, Gregory. Stay safe. Tomato says, people not understanding cause and effect. Yeah, that's true. Gary says, yeah. Okay. JTech says, buddy, good morning. Hey, JTech, good to see you here. Welcome to the stream. Azha says, Fuji S-Half. When Fuji S-Half dropped to 599 ringgit, I will buy one. Wolfie says, Fuji cameras is not Robin style, too many dials and rings to turn. But if you look at Fuji's catalogs of products, not all their cameras have too many dials and rings to turn. This narrows down which camera they actually bought. The cameras that don't have all those dials and all those rings. Yeah. Zach says, can't stay long because I have an early train to catch for the day trip tomorrow. But I think the future of Micro Four Thirds is focusing on super telephoto work like motorsport, wildlife, sports. Okay. But then again, you don't see them promoting motorsports or what exactly is wildlife sports? I don't even know what that is. Tomato says, Fuji GFX 100 megapixels to make up for a lack of pixels on Micro Four Thirds. Yeah, lack of pixels is not really a big thing. I don't need that many pixels, but I do want some advancement for Micro Four Thirds, right? Ovi says, grief is a very long process. It comes in waves. Time will make it easier. Yeah. JTech says, I tried shooting fireworks on OM this year and then DM used the Fuji last night. Honestly, the OM did better job and made it much easier. Using the live composite. Right. Len says, hi Robin. Hey Lenny. Nice to see you here. Nice to be able to join again. Hope you and all are good. I'm doing alright. But next week will be a challenge. Ovi says, I wish I can be positive for the future of Micro Four Thirds, but there are fewer good news than bad news these days, and neither OM or Panasonic seem to put enough effort to inform the users what they are doing. Yeah. And it seems like they stopped updating their lens roadmap altogether. At least last time we have the roadmap of what's to come in the next 2 years, right? There's always like a future plan that always make it very clear what's to come, but now it's like they don't even have anything on the future roadmap, which is not very convincing, right? Franco says, do you have any information regarding the release of OM Mark III? Of course not. And why would they give me any information? I'm not an employee. I'm not an ambassador. I'm no longer associated with OM Digital Solutions in any capacity. And in some ways, I don't think they like me because I'm too honest, right? And it's kind of sad because I wish that the companies who appreciate honesty, because if I am honest and yet I still support the system, that carries a lot of weight, right? But no, I think a lot of the companies these days, OM System and Panasonic included, just want people to say yes, 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 yes. Just say good things about them. They don't want people to say anything bad about their products, which is kind of sad. Yeah. Cuttlefish says, hi Robin, I found you recently through your blogs when looking for a camera, as I've been doing macro for 10 years but never had a proper camera. Got an EMI Mark III and love it. I learned so much from you. I'm glad that you found the Micro Four Thirds, and an EMI Mark III is a wonderful camera. Yeah, and macro is amazing. I love doing macro. I should be doing more macro. Maybe not this week. I don't have any time left this week because I'm traveling back to Kuching. Maybe after I come back from Kuching, I'll do a little bit of a macro. Hey, Rippy, if you're still here, let's plan some macro trips somewhere. It'll be fun, Rippy. Hey, Amir. Amir is my photo walk buddy. He's one of the best street photographers that I actually know in Kuala Lumpur. Amazing guy. And yeah, we do shoot a lot together. Amir says, the future is good compact cameras and also nasi lemak at a corner shop. Nasi lemak at a corner shop. What? That's so random. Ho says, Robin joined Fuji team. Are those on loan or you got them? I bought a Fuji camera. Yeah. Thomas says, the pros heavily outweighs the cons of Micro Four Thirds. So for me personally, the future of Micro Four Thirds is bright. Of course, we can say that we like certain things based on our personal preference, but that doesn't reflect the market situation. So what the future I talk about is whether they can survive the challenging market, right? Their market share is shrinking year after year. I mean, I can say that, oh, Olympus is the best system that I have. I enjoy using Micro Four Thirds, but there's no point if Micro Four Thirds just die in the future. The fact will still be true. Micro Four Thirds future is not so bright, right? I can't be so delusional and just make all my predictions based on my personal biases, right? That's not the right way of looking at reality. Yeah. Kibili says, Little India was great for a photo walk in Kuala Lumpur. I organized one back in 2019. Okay, you're talking about the Kel Central area brick fields, right? Yeah, I find the area, it's one of the good areas for street photography. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. But I also feel like now it has changed so much with the, I don't even know what condominium that went up. There was one apartment condominium building, and there were so many changes happening there. I think like 10 years ago, it would have been a much better place to shoot. Yeah. Thomas says, Fuji? Blasphemy. Hey, but then again, like, I don't know. Every time I get some comments from Fuji fans, it is always very toxic and very ill-intentioned. Like, that is one community that I honestly don't really want to touch. Like, seriously, these people are really scary. Suba says, I can't concentrate unless I'm alone when I take photographs. Exactly. But then again, I'm okay with people as long as they don't distract me. And like usually me and my friends like Amir, Rajendra Putra, we'll just roam around, do our own things. We will talk when we need to talk, but when we shoot, we are generally very quiet, right? We just focus on our own, in our own universe, right? Getting our own shots. Thomas says, I feel the same. Taking photos is like meditation for an introvert. It's nothing to do with whether you're an introvert or extrovert. Like, it's just about you being in a zone and getting your shot. Because when you talk, it's like you work, right? When you do a serious calculation at work or programming or whatever, imagine a coworker just constantly gossiping with you. I mean, you're not going to get anything done, right? Same with any other creative pursuits like photo walks, like photography. You need to like have certain brain power diverted or at least focus on making sure you get a shot, right? If half of your brain power is distracted by gossips or chats or trying to make sure everyone is happy, then yeah, you're not going to get anything done. Ho says, I'm always on the back row of any photo walk. Too many interesting things to snap when outside. Agreed. Yeah. Thomas says, safe travels, Robin. Thank you so much. Kibili says, you got this, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Say safe travels. Take your time. No worries. Philip says, hi from Bill, Switzerland. Hello, thanks for joining the stream. Ho says, the 20 dials of Fuji makes the shoot ultra quick if you master them. Personally, I like the speed and aperture dial setting visible on the camera. I don't even look at the dial. Like, when I shoot with, let's say, my Olympus camera with a dual dial, why is there a need to look at the dial? I rather not have them visible. What I do need them to be is to be within my finger's reach. I don't want to be all over the camera body. I have to like move around, right? And I don't want to use two hands to tinker with the settings, right? The aperture ring is here on the lens and the shutter speed dial is on the top. No, I just want everything to be within these two fingers. Everything done. Fast, right? Fast and easy. Yeah. Cuttlefish says, learn so much from your blogs and videos, Robin. Really appreciate your work, and discovering your stuff has made such a difference to how I shoot. Thanks, appreciate that. You're letting me know that my content is useful. I will continue to do more. Thanks for that. Wolfie says, it has been a frustration with OM and Panasonic for over 5 years now. Their lack of communication is the huge problem. With little to no funds for marketing, what are we supposed to do? Blind hope. I think this has happened since the Olympus time, where they changed the strategy of marketing. They don't use the traditional medium platforms anymore. Like, you will not see much advertisements on newspaper, televisions, or on the streets or billboards, right? They just focus on digital marketing. I'm not sure if it's better or worse. I can't say that, you know, if they advertise on newspaper or on televisions or on billboards plastered everywhere, I can't guarantee that will work. Times have changed, right? Those are more traditional methods of doing things. They are just changing with time, but I agree with you. In terms of marketing, clearly they haven't been doing a good job. I think a lot of things can be improved, and whoever is in charge of marketing, yeah, they need to rework a lot of things. That I have to agree on. Let me just read one or two more chats from member, and then we'll get into the topic. Mika says, I have a conspiracy theory. OM has been sponsoring a lot of new Micro Four Thirds videos lately, and there's been quite a bit of new Micro Four Thirds content in my feed. I think they are fitting the algorithm. But then again, if it's a sponsored content, it will not be effective, unfortunately. People can tell if it is an advertisement, if it is paid, and normally the consumers would prefer to trust someone that they already trust, and that trust is not easily built. It may come from, say, someone like Jordan and Chris from Petapixel, or, you know, Kai Wong from previously Digital Rev. I don't know what are the big names. Gordon Lang from Camera Labs, right? These are the big names that have been around for so long, and they are unshakable. You know, you throw them a camera or lens and they'll tell you truthfully what they like and dislike, what works, what doesn't work. You may or may not agree with them, but you know they are honest. And that level of trust is not easy to build. You can't buy it. So sprinkling content that are sponsored and paid is not the best strategy, unfortunately. Mika says, to get ready for a new camera release? I don't know. Yeah, JTech says, yeah, I let my son use the TG7 while I used the OM Fire Mark II, and we both got great shots. He was a little shaky, which honestly made some cool jellyfish-looking fireworks bursts. Yeah. I mean, for kids, you know, it doesn't matter about technical perfection, right? Of course, we want them to learn and get better, but let them be kids. And it doesn't matter if the image is a little bit blurry, you know, it's still fun. Yeah. Rippy says, I mean, let's shoot macro at Bukit Gasing. Yes, one of those. When I come back from my coaching trip, right? Let's do something there. And Bukit Gasing is not that far away. Yeah. Azhar says, at some point, I do agree Micro Four Thirds needs a revamp. They were initially developed for mirrorless cameras 18 years ago. Maybe Micro Four Thirds need a major overhaul for future development. I think they have to do it now, not at some point. It is a bit too late already. All right, let's get into the topic, but coffee first, and then we'll dive into the topic. So why am I bringing up this topic, the future of Micro Four Thirds? Because I'm getting concerned, right? Last year, you look at the market share that's published by was it BCN data? Don't even remember. Was it SIPA shipment data? The official data. I don't have the chart now, but we've published this before, and we know that the Micro Four Thirds share, Panasonic and OM System combined, is less than 5%. It's maybe about 3% or 4%. It's very small in the market. And it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Right? Like, for example, in the year, let's say, for example, when Olympus was dominating, let's say 2015, 2016, during the time of EM1 original, EM1 Mark II, or 2017, right? You can clearly see that not only was Olympus number one in the mirrorless market in Japan, but in the world they were doing really well. And Micro Four Thirds, if you combine Panasonic's share and Olympus' share, they were actually doing not bad. You know, talking about maybe 20% of the market share, 30%. Of course, overall, Canon, Sony, and at that time Nikon as well, they were doing really well. Fuji wasn't doing very well. Fuji has never been doing well until very recently in the past 5 years. They just rose to the top. At that time, Fuji was the underdog. And, you know, like in some countries, even in Thailand, Olympus did better than Nikon. You know, and that says a lot, right? And Micro Four Thirds, in terms of the mirrorless world, they were not only the first, but they paved the way and show how mirrorless cameras can be done. And of course, pretty soon, you see that Canon and Nikon, even Sony, they caught up. Canon and Nikon released their mirrorless, Sony released it earlier, but Sony had a lot of years to refine their full-frame mirrorless camera. And as these giants went into mirrorless and they get better and better and better over the years, when Micro Four Thirds just stayed stagnant, didn't really progress in terms of tech, it's not difficult to see that the market share of Micro Four Thirds just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. A lot of factors played into the shrinking market as well. OM Digital Solutions, where when JIP took over Olympus, when Olympus gave up on imaging industry, that's what in the year 2020 during COVID, when Olympus just gave up, say we don't want to make cameras anymore. That did not really inspire confidence in the Micro Four Thirds world, right? That's one. Secondly, when Panasonic launched the full frame L mount together with Sigma and Leica, that was in the year 2018. Was it 2019? 2018. 2018, right? Let me check. When did L Alliance start? Hopefully AI is right. AI can be wrong sometimes when you ask. Nope. L Alliance. Let's see. 2018 September. Right, I was right. So when Panasonic went full frame, I mean, what does it say about their support for Micro Four Thirds? So these two factors, Panasonic going full frame and Olympus just completely give up on Micro Four Thirds, on camera business, it just sends a very negative signal to the entire world saying that, hey, Micro Four Thirds is done. So from 2018, 2019, 2020, those years, they're still doing all right, but sooner or later, when you don't see any new developments from Panasonic and OM System, and mind you, at that time, Panasonic was still very stubborn on not putting in face detection autofocus in their cameras. That was one of the reasons of their own downfall, their own mistake, right? And Olympus, just completely gave up and just bought over by GIP. All these things had a compounded effect of, Micro Four Thirds just getting worse and worse and worse, just shrinking and shrinking. And now it's like, it's so small, the numbers look so sad in the market. So, of course, I question the future of Micro Four Thirds, because if nothing is being done, if this trajectory continues on, right, it just gets smaller and smaller every year, just continues getting smaller every year, one day, Panasonic and OM System will just cease to exist. They'll just say, okay, the market is too small. We see no point doing business anymore. Why do we sell camera? Like, nobody's buying. It's like we're not making any profit. Just shut down everything altogether. It is heading that direction. It is not difficult to see. Even OM Digital Solutions, in the past 5 years of their existence, they have not recorded profit yet. every year is in the negative. They are not making money. They are losing money. They have not broken even yet. We don't have the latest financial data from last year, 2025. I checked. It's not made available, so we don't know whether OM Digital Solutions is doing better or worse than the year before. But it is clear the many, many years leading to 2025, financially, OM Digital Solutions was not doing well. And that's to be expected because it's a new company. There's a cost of to keep things running, to create new products, marketing, everything. There's a lot of money going on, right? That needs to be spent. It takes some time for them to recover the cost, but they have not recovered yet. They're still losing money. They're still in the reds in the past few years. And I mean, how many years can a company be in the reds? How many years can a company sustain losing money? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? They have to do something, right? Both Panasonic and OM Digital Solutions. They have to, I mean, not only is the market shrinking, but the overall confidence of the audience, the photographers community, has also been eroded. The photographers are not supporting Micro Four Thirds. You know, the companies themselves are not prioritizing Micro Four Thirds. Yeah, Panasonic launched the latest L10 that uses a Micro Four Thirds sensor, but it's not exactly a Micro Four Thirds product, is it? You can't change lens. It's not really a Micro Four Thirds product unless it has a Micro Four Thirds mount. That's the standard, right? So still, the thing that I've said, it's been 2 years since Panasonic launched a Micro Four Thirds product. It still stays true. Panasonic has no Micro Four Thirds product since 2 years ago. The L10 doesn't count. I'm not saying the L10 is a bad thing. It's good that they launched something, right? Whatever camera is always good, whether it's a compact camera with 1-inch sensor or a full-frame camera, doesn't really matter. A camera is a camera, it's a good thing. But from Micro Four Thirds perspective, it is not helping Micro Four Thirds. It is not helping to sell more lenses for Micro Four Thirds because you cannot attach any lens on the L10. Right? So, you know, it's still questionable whether Panasonic is going down the path of continuing to do Micro Four Thirds products, because if you are serious about Micro Four Thirds, if you are committed, why don't you have any products in 2 years? It doesn't make any sense. That doesn't inspire confidence, right? What does it tell about the future if you look at what's now and in the past, right? OM Digital Solutions is doing a little bit better than Panasonic in terms of effort and releasing new products. I mean, last year itself, we have OM3, OM5 Mark II. Of course, I'm not expecting a new camera coming out so soon. And they do have some lenses like 50-200 f2.8 Pro. They've updated the 25 and 17 f1.8 Mark II versions, which is very good. With wider ceiling, which a lot of people asked for. At least we have some lenses from Micro Four Thirds coming from OM Digital Solutions, and we have some cameras. And the OM3, well, whether you like it or not, it is still a new camera. And some people say, oh, it's recycling technology from OM1. Like, come on, guys, seriously, OM1 is a flagship. Would you rather it's recycled technology from OM1 than something else? You know, like, they make it sound like it's a bad thing. Oh, it's not a new camera. It's just a repackaged OM1. Like, how is that a bad thing? You know, like OM1 is the flagship for OM Digital Solutions, right? Like, you can complain about the camera being too large, or the handling is not very good, or, you know, like the viewfinder should have been better with better resolution. I mean, those are valid complaints, right? But then again, to say that, you know, having the same internals of OM1 is a bad thing, like, how is that a bad thing? Anyway, enough about that. But I'm happy to see that OM Digital Solutions is trying. They're putting some effort. But is that enough, though? Is that enough? And the question here is, if they don't do anything soon, will there even be the future for Micro Four Thirds? Because it's very concerning now. And I think what OM Digital Solutions need to do immediately, they need an OM1 Mark III soon, which will be a wow camera, a flagship to quickly replace the OM1 Mark II, which was a big mistake because OM1 Mark II was just a tiny, tiny upgrade from the OM1 original, which was a very sad thing to talk about. So the Mark III version better be a massive jump from the OM1 and OM1 Mark II. And I think they need an entry-level budget small camera, whether it's a pan camera, EPL 11, or OM10, EM10 Mark 5 or OM10. I don't know. They need something that is below $1,000 that has some really good features that can bring in more people into Micro Four Thirds, and it shouldn't be something that costs like $2,000 or more, like the OM3, right? Yes, we have the OM5 Mark II. That's great, but we need something like that, something more, not just OM5 Mark II. I think that's very, 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 very important. As for Panasonic, come on. Just give us GM5 or GM1 Mark II, right? GM5 Mark II. Everyone is waiting for that. Just give us a GX whatever, like with the internals of the L10, just turn it into a GX camera. It will sell. In fact, they should launch that first, then the L10. And funny thing, do you guys see what DP Review mentioned? Let me just throw in the DP Review's latest test on the L10. Because a lot of people noted that the Panasonic L10's studio scene on DP Review showed a very bad result. DP Review's test of Panasonic L10. So they requested for another sample and they retested it. Right, this is the link to that. So check out the link if you have not done so. In that link, you can look at the comments, you can look at the test results. It confirms something that I said. I said this already and many people don't believe me. I said the L10's lens sucks. I said that the L10's lens doesn't produce very good results. I said I'd rather use a kit lens, say the Panasonic 12-32 or the Olympus 14-42, than the Panasonic's the lens that comes with the Panasonic L10 or the LX100 is the same lens. I've used the LX100's lens before. It was so bad. f1.7, it's like the contrast is poor. Yes, the details in the middle is sharp, but the rendering is so flat. The images, the outcome is so dull. Like, no. I think there's a cost of making the lens so small because it's f1.7 to f2.8, right? And to keep the lens that small, because if you look at f2.8 constant aperture lenses, they're a lot larger, whether it's 1235 or 1240. Panasonic Olympus is a lot larger than that. So for them to downsize it so much to fit it into the LX100 and LX10 to make it so small, there are so many compromises. That's why I said the lens quality is so poor. I don't know, a lot of reviewers out say, oh, the lens is so sharp. Wow, look at the details, it's amazing. I'm like, huh? Are we seeing the same thing? And there, DP Review tested it and said, no. We tested 2 different samples, we get same results. One is maybe a bit blurred in the left, one is blurred on the right. That's another problem, decentering. That's another different manufacturing defect I'm not going to go into. But the fact is clear. That lens is not a good lens. I don't know, like all these reviewers, like, wow, like sometimes you question what people see, like, really? Are we seeing the same things? Anyway, enough about that. This is not about L10. I don't want to talk about L10 anymore. But yeah. Future of Micro Four Thirds. What do you think? I also think that OM Digital Solutions need to change their marketing immediately. I think they need to quickly admit that wildlife photography is not working. If it has worked, it would have worked by now. If by now they still cannot break even, if by now they still cannot move a lot of cameras, if by now they cannot generate profit from the sales of the cameras and lenses, then the strategy of going to wildlife has failed. The sooner they realize that the wildlife angle is not working and quickly change to something else, the better. The higher chance of them to success. If they continue on to push wildlife, trust me, it will be their death. It is so obvious. I don't know how they cannot see that. I don't know why they are so blind. At least Panasonic is not so strictly narrowed down their focus to just wildlife, I go to Sony event, wildlife photography. I go to Canon's event, wildlife photography. I go to Nikon's camera launch, wildlife photography, birding. If I go to OM System and see wildlife, how can they fight? How? I just don't see how. That itself is one of the biggest mistakes. I just wish I can just pry open their eyes and just make them see that please stop with this wildlife nonsense. It has never worked. It will never work. And please do something else. There are so many other photographers out there that can create amazing work. They are non-wildlife photographers. Oh! Anyway, I think I've said enough already. What do you guys think? Do you think there is a future for Micro Four Thirds? What can Panasonic and OM Digital Solutions to do to improve their market situation, their market share, and in order not just to survive, hopefully to thrive in the future? Let me know in the chat. Let me drink some coffee and I'll get to the chat. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I'll go to members chat first, as always. Yep. Who says, I have heard the argument that the Micro Four Thirds lens catalog is so big that there's no need for new lenses, but I much disagree. Of course it's not complete. Who said it's complete? There are lots of lenses for OM Panasonic that needs update and new option. Definitely. Who says, it's hard, if not impossible, to argue putting down the cost of OM Mark II, the 5200 f2.8 Pro, 90 Pro, 150 to 400 Pro, when you don't know if OM can live another 5 to 10 years to support. Yeah, it's not really pushing any confidence. Hey, Ovi says the customers and products with firmware and repairs, and like they just completely stop on the firmware updates, like zero firmware updates. In fact, Nikon is doing a better job in doing the firmware updates compared to OM Digital Solutions, which is kind of sad, don't you think? Even Fuji has more firmware updates. Sony as well. Oh my goodness. Len says, Micro Four Thirds really need to push how small and light the system is. Yeah, the GM5 Mark II or GM1 Mark II, right? And the Pan Lite series, even Pan F Mark II, like seriously. And the quality you get compared to old compact camera and push the tech further. Yeah, definitely. That's the core strength of Micro Four Thirds. Creating something truly small, truly light, and yet that can deliver phenomenal results, right? Professional looking results. Ovi says, I would rather have OM and Panasonic focus and compete on the budget, low and mid-range price cameras based on their size and feature-rich capabilities than try the high-end market where they will lose. They are losing already. I don't know if they can see that or not. They are losing hard, right? Yeah. It's kind of sad that they don't see it and we see it, right? Len says, people's perception of Micro Four Thirds sensor seems to get lost as to how much larger it is compared to a phone and compact camera, where it is completely capable as the results show. Yeah, I think a lot of people know what it's capable of. It's just that the fact that we don't have a lot of new cameras to tap into, and not many people are willing to spend $2,000 to get a flagship camera. And also some of the flagship cameras are getting ridiculously large and heavy, like the Panasonic G9 Mark II and G7 Mark II. Like, why not just go full frame? Movie says, under $1,000, the larger format cameras and brands are failing with no image stabilization and weather sealing. Under $1,500, the competition lacks speed and crippling features. That's where OM can do better, not $2,000 to $3,000. There is the Canon R8, right? Canon R8. Speed, 30-something megapixels, weather sealing, and 5/6 image stabilization, right? Yeah. Wait, is the Canon R8 weather sealed? I could be wrong. Am I right? It is. So R8 has weather resistance, image stabilization, and yeah. We have a super chat. Let me get to the super chat. James says, I love my Olympus EM1 Mark I. I use it for my editorial portrait work and it's just fine. They need to go back to the 70s and 80s mindset, like the OM2N, smaller than Canon at the time, but just as powerful. Exactly. And they should really consider making the cameras smaller again, make them... They don't have to be as powerful as full frame camera, like giving the same resolution or whatever capabilities, but just do what they do. Right, giving the powerful image stabilization, giving all the computational features, but improve the autofocus. Just make it small. I think people will love it. I would love it. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Azhar says, OM needs a larger crowd. Market for videography is huge among Canon and Sony. People are making movies for Netflix, Apple TV, and the market for, pardon my language, pornography is huge. Well, tell that to Panasonic. Right, that's Panasonic's specialty, not really OM System. I don't think OM System can really compete when it comes to video. They don't have the expertise.
But Panasonic can do so much more with their video. Like, why are they letting Sony and Canon eating the pie? It just doesn't make sense. Uvi says, Canon, Nikon, Panasonic do not offer rangefinder style cameras with electronic viewfinder. Xperia SE are expensive. Sony A7C, A6700 are the only current tech options out there except Fuji. There is a rumor of Nikon coming out with a full-frame compact camera soon. Maybe it'll be in the shape of rangefinder. We'll see. We'll see. Where is PanF, EP8, GM5 Mark II, GX8 Mark II, GX9 Mark II? Yeah. Wolfie says R8 does not have. It has. R8 has image stabilization. Oh, did I see the wrong thing? Oh, it doesn't have. Which was the one that has the image stabilization? Was it R7? It wasn't R8. R7 then. It was R7. But R7 is not full frame. R7 is the APS-C sensor. So R7 has the image stabilization. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't have. Who says for Canon, if you want image stabilization, it's R7. That's correct. Let's get to... Lan says, wildlife is not the way to go. They are losing the fight there. They have fallen so far back in attack. They need to remarket, focus on the versatility with top quality output. Exactly. I just don't understand why they want to keep drumming on the wildlife chant again and again. It's like, it's kind of sad from a fan's point of view because I genuinely want them to succeed. And it's so hard to watch them fall so miserably doing the wildlife thing, you know? It's just so hard to watch. Yeah, and I care, right? I'm a little bit behind the chat. Let me catch up as fast as I can. Jonathan says, would you worry much about the difference between 16 and 20 megapixels if you aren't making large prints? If it's print is not an issue, then no. 16, 20, but I worry more on the dynamic range difference because the newer 20 megapixel sensor in the EMR Mark II has a significant dynamic range advantage over the old 16 megapixels, even the high ISO as well. Ollie says, I shot some fireworks with the PanF. The picture turned out well. Of course, live composite, right? Number 6 says, hey Robin, what kind of fitness program do you follow? I go to the gym at least 4 times a week. I try to go 5 times, so I don't have enough time. So 4 times a week, I do split training. So let's say, because it's not on a fixed rotation, right? I change it up a little bit. Let's say Monday will be like chest and triceps. Tuesday will be legs and core. Wednesday will be back. And Thursday will be shoulder and biceps. Then I'll repeat. Not necessarily in that order. Sometimes Monday will be legs, and then Tuesday will be shoulder and biceps, and then Wednesday will be chest and triceps, right? So I change things up a little bit. Lift weights. I try to lift heavy, but then again, I'm also very conscious that I'm not getting any younger, and I don't want to break anything. I don't want to be in a hospital where I can't walk for like weeks or months. So when I lift my weights, I also was always very conscious not to overload. Ego lifting, right? But yeah, I try to lift. I mean, now is the time. I'm in my 40s. If I don't care about my fitness now as we age, I think in the 50s and 60s, it's gonna be harder and harder for me to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Right now is the time to really push myself. Philip says, pick up the GH7 2 months ago. Probably last Micro Four Thirds from Panasonic. Probably last for me. Aww. I hope you like the GH7. Peter says, loving the OM5 Mark II for landscape photography. It is a fine camera. I do enjoy using it. Fraser says, the future of Micro Four Thirds may be video-centric with all the benefits of the system, and Panasonic made a new Micro Four Thirds camera. I hope the new GH series or G series. I think they need to update the GH series, but then again, I'm not so keen on the GH series because it has so many features that I don't need. I'm not a videographer, so look at the G9 also, like, it's so large. I wish it's like 20% smaller. Like, seriously. Anthony says, it's easy to feel the shutter release on EM1 when wearing winter gloves. Oh, not again, Anthony. How many times do you need to say this? Like, I understand that you need to say it many times for OM Digital Solutions to listen, but maybe you should write to them directly, because telling me another 10,000 times it's not going to make a difference. I acknowledge your concern. I'm not saying that it's not valid. You have your preferences, you have your needs in certain things, like operating the buttons and dials using your winter globes. But telling me another 20,000 times will not make me change my reply to you, because I'm not the one designing the camera. I'm not the one making all these decisions. So why don't you just go to your OM System representative at your area, or if there's an ambassador near you, and share concerns with them, because literally there's nothing I can do here, right? All right. Simon says, tell me, Robin, when you were an ambassador, did you have any influence on the software updates or new cameras? Do ambassadors have any contact with the technical department? I'll give you a better answer. Before I was ambassador, I was an employee. And I joined just before the original EM1 was launched. EM1 was launched in September or October, around there, maybe September. I think it's September 2013. Very quickly, a local photographer, which is quite famous, his name is Ming Tian. He's still a friend, an amazing guy. He discovered a problem in the camera. He discovered that the EM1 original suffers shutter shock. It's not a very serious problem, it's just that it is there and it is noticeable. You can avoid it, there's a workaround. It only happens at certain shutter speeds. According to Ming Tian, it's at 1/125 second to 1/180th. So if you shoot slower shutter speeds like 1/80th, or if you shoot faster like 1/250th of a second, there's no shutter shock. But it is there. So he brought the complaint to me. I was the one who brought the complaint to Japan. I was the one who directly told the R&D in Japan that, hey guys, you need to fix this. I think it took them a few months. I think the complaint went in sometime in December or January. I filed the complaint or the request in December, January. It took them like 2 to 3 months. So around in March or April, well, I can check the exact dates if I want, but it took them 2 to 3 months to come up with a solution. And the solution was 0 second anti-shock. And I talked about this before, right? If you're not aware of anti-shock or first curtain electronic shutter, you can look at my video. I talk about this. And Olympus was the first camera company in the world to solve the anti-shock problem. Yes, you can use silent shutter now to get rid of any shutter shock, but back then, silent shutter was almost useless. You have rolling shutter, you have worse high ISO performance, you have all kinds of problems. You can't use flash. It's very limited. There's a lot of problems to use silent shutter. So the first curtain electronic shutter gets rid of all these problems and completely mitigates the shutter shock problem. And I was the one that made that happen. So feel free to thank me anytime. All right, Cattlefish says, is the empty roadmap from Panasonic and OM just because the lens catalog is largely complete? No. There's no such thing as a complete roadmap. I can point you easily 10 lenses that they don't have yet. Let me see. What was the... If you want to see this, let me see. Where was that? Give me a moment. Found it already. I just have to copy the link. 10 missing micro four thirds lenses. There you go. So, Cattlefish, here are the 10 missing micro four thirds lenses for you to look at. See if you agree with me or not. Okay, let's get to a few more chat. And I have a set of photographs to share. Jer says, OM Digital Solutions should join the Elma Alliance. No! The moment OM Digital Solutions join the Elma Alliance, that's the death of micro four thirds. Ollie says, I use the shutter release cable with PanF that screws in like my old analog camera, works with glows on, very fine. Okay. Jer says, with extremely small lenses and bodies without compromising on overall quality, micro four thirds was more of a digital successor to the half-frame pen and never a descendant of the original OM system. Okay. Dre says, hey Robin, I really appreciate your videos, your thoughts, and attitude. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support and kind words. Jared says the market lacks a more refined system for enthusiasts that offer high build quality, a great user experience, and compactness. That was what Micro Four Thirds was originally made for, right? The original EM10 series, EM1 series, even the Pen Light series. That's the specific market segment that they were after, right? And now just completely abandon them and go to bigger, heavier, and more expensive cameras. Franco says, I've been using an Olympus EM1 Mark III since it was released. It's a very practical and truly incredible camera. I shoot in extreme conditions, particularly in high up in the mountains in winter. That's amazing. Yeah, EM1 Mark III, I'm using EM1 Mark II. I mean, it's been 10 years now, and it's been super reliable, no issue. It always delivers consistent results. I'm just so happy to have the EM1 Mark II. So I guess EM1 Mark III. I had the EM1 Mark III before. I gave it away to a friend when I received the OM one. So yeah, I know. EM1 Mark II, EM1 Mark III, amazing camera. Jer says, Fuji is junk. Oh, don't say that. I don't think any camera out there is junk. There are no bad cameras, only bad photographers. As trans images look waxy and the build quality feels cheap, I mean, they do have nicely built cameras. The X100 has very good build quality. And while you may not like the look of the X Trans, I don't like it as well, I understand, but they have their following, right? I mean, it's very important for us not to bash any brand or not to bash any system. You may have your preferences. Like, I like Micro Four Thirds, but you'll never hear me say Fuji sucks or Sony sucks or, full frame is junk or medium format is not necessary. I will not say all those things. It's very important to respect the existence of every camera system and formats. And it's good to celebrate the diversity that we have. It's good that we have choices. So having different cameras, different brands, different formats is not a bad thing. It may not be for you. You choose what works best for you, but it doesn't mean you have to call another system a junk. I think that's going a little bit too far. How do you feel when people say Micro Four Thirds is junk? You don't feel good, right? So if you don't want people to say your format is junk, then why do you say other people's format is junk? It goes both ways, right? If you don't want people to be a troll, then don't be a troll yourself, you know? Yeah. Franco says the Micro Four Thirds system still has a bright future. Why? Levin says OM should release the new successor of EM10 Mark IV. Yeah, hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. I mean, also another thing, right? If they want to do it, they would have done it by now, right? The fact that they have not released any successor to the EM10 series also is quite questionable. Jared says, hi all, OM System should make compact, easy to carry cameras and lenses, less expensive alternatives for beginners. Make it more accessible, right? So that more people can come in and experience Micro Four Thirds and don't have to fork out like $2,000, $3,000 for a camera to get into the system, right? This doesn't make sense. All it says, the present camera allows for outstanding photos. If the photographer blames the camera, he needs to practice more. Nobody is saying that any camera is bad. I'm using a, I don't even know what year this was from. This is maybe like 14, 15 years already, EPL6. I still can get good shots. But are you saying that OM Digital Solutions can just continue selling EPL6 and not have any new cameras? That's not how the market works, right? I'm still using my EM1 Mark II from 10 years ago. It's still fine. And I agree with you. If you can't get good shots from the camera, then the problem is you. But are you also saying that, OM Digital Solutions, no need to make any new cameras. Just continue selling the EM1 Mark II. That's not how things work, right? We need new cameras. We need them to advance in technology, right? Yeah. Anthony says, my concern too, if they lose too much market share, they might think it's just not worth it and fold the camera and lens company. It's a concern for those of us who have invested in Olympus and OM System. Yep, exactly. It's like, they have to do something soon, man. Like, seriously soon. Suba says, at least the cameras we have will still take great photos as long as they are able to turn on, but not having support is going to be a downer, especially as a professional photographer. I need to be assured and to be confident that if something happens to my camera, it can be fixed. If something happens to my lens, I can buy one. If there's no official support anymore, it's time to move on. Yeah. This side towards screen says, to be fair, the cost of everything, the purchasing power of consumers may not be able to support a variety of camera formats. There's only one format, what? Micro Four Thirds. It's the same sensor for everything. We don't have FPS-C, we don't have full frame, we don't have 1-inch sensor. It's just a singular format, right? Hi Zimi, how are you? This side to our screen says, do you think OM System and Panasonic be bought up by a Chinese company? One of the other camera companies? I don't know. If the camera company cares about photography, maybe. But then if it's a camera company that doesn't, if it's a company that, I don't know, like they don't even know what they're doing, then maybe not. Sergio says, hello dear, nothing happens in OM now. Yeah, nothing happens in OM now. This side to our screen says, unless the debt of these companies are too great. Not debt. I don't think any of the companies are in debt. It's just that they're not making money, right? Ollie says, third-party lenses are getting very good. There may be the competition that is hard for OM System and Panasonic to compete with. What third-party? There are no third-party lenses for Micro Four Thirds at this moment except all Sigma lenses and some Yongnuo lenses, right? There's nothing to compete with. Yeah, Marcus says, it's an SM5. No, it is not. Short says, Panasonic isn't going anywhere. As for OM Digital Solutions, that's another story. Are you sure? The way I see it, it is OM Digital Solutions that's a little bit more committed than Panasonic. At least they still release new cameras and lenses, but Panasonic is not doing anything for Micro Four Thirds. I don't count the L10 as a Micro Four Thirds camera. You can't mount a Micro Four Thirds lens on the L10, right? Emiya says, would have been fun to get a new GF series from Panasonic. Definitely, definitely. I'm going to put a pause here because it's 5 minutes past 11 already, and I do want to... Where was it? Where did I stop the comment? Interesting. I've lost the train of comment. This wasn't here. Ah, there it is. Okay. Let me drink some water. Oh. Let's share the first set of photographs. This set of photographs, they were taken last Sunday. It's Sunday, I think. Last Sunday. Was it Saturday? It's probably Saturday. Anyway. And these photographs were shot on the Olympus EPM1. Yes, I still have my EPM1 around. And ta-da! The Panasonic 14 f2.5. I have a very weird relationship with this lens. So I've owned this lens before. I bought it, sold it off, bought it again, sold it off again. This is the third time I bought this lens. Not that I don't like the lens, it's just that I have the 15 f1.7, which you are seeing me through this live stream. I just prefer the 15 f1.7, sharper f1.7 versus f2.5, better rendering, overall, autofocus is faster, nicer lens to work with. I just prefer the output from the 15 f1.7, much better than the 14 f2.5. But the 14 f2.5 is so tiny. This is the smallest autofocus lens for Micro Four Thirds, and it's so cheap. I look at the price. It's so ridiculously cheap that, I don't regret getting one. So I got it again for the third time, and I slapped it on the smallest Micro Four Thirds camera that Olympus ever made, which is the EPM1. And I did some street photography. So I'm sharing these photographs. These photographs will be in a video that's coming out on next Thursday. If you are a member, you'll see the video on Wednesday night, 24 hours before the publishing time of the video. So I was just talking about why we need more pancake lenses from Panasonic and OM Digital Solutions. Right, Merdeka 118, this was shot at Bukit Bintang, right, opening shot. As usual, I love cats. And why I take this shot is not so much of the cat. The cat actually went there. So I saw the nice bee painting in the background with the head being covered by a yellow towel. The yellow color of the towel matches the yellow color of the bee. That was the main focus initially. And then when I saw the cat, then I stepped back a little bit to frame the cat, to put the cat inside the frame. So yeah. Some security guards having their morning briefing outside a hotel. Right, just walked past and did a quick snap. Well, this will be a POV video, by the way. So you guys will be able to see what happens around me and in front of me before I click the shutter button. So you'll see exactly what's in my camera screen before I press the shutter button. So yeah. And I shot everything in P this time. I don't really care about the camera settings. P for professional. So I let the camera decide the shutter speed as well as the aperture. I use auto ISO as well, so I don't really care. This is bright sun. So because I think Olympus tends to select very slow shutter speeds, like 1/100, 1/200 of a second, right? So because of that, you can see the motion blur of the bike. And I don't really care. Like, whether the bike is blur or not in this situation, a little bit of motion adds to the drama of the photograph, right? To show that the bike is actually moving. And the main focus here is not so much of the bike itself or the rider. It's more like, I like the bright green background. Everything is so green in the background, the wall, the door and everything, the metal door, right? It's a bright green with the light patches there. So when this rider zooming by in a motorbike, it's just a bonus, yeah. Caught a moment of the man going down to get something. This was quite fun. You have to see the POV video to appreciate this. This was quite fun to catch. Yeah. Again, I have no control of the shutter speed. I think this was maybe 1/60th of a second. I can freeze it if I want to. All I have to do is just ramp up the ISO number or, you know, increase the shutter speed, make it faster. But I thought this is quite fun, seeing a little bit of motion blur there, and you know that the background is completely sharp, right? It's wide angle, and the intention of this photograph is quite obvious. Green shirt with the green background. The coinciding colors, the main subject from the front and the back are blending well together, and he's carrying food in a red plastic bag that really stands out. So yeah, a man doing his roti dough before frying it up on the pan, right? Preparing roti. Roti is a very staple Malaysian food, right? Some action shot here, which benefits from the use of a wide angle. The thing about wide angle shot is that you try to compose more within the frame. You try to add a few more elements in the frame. Sometimes it's not easy because there are things that you don't want to be in the frame. And it's not like you go near and all those things in the background will disappear. I generally prefer to shoot 50 equivalent, but hey, sometimes I do wider shots. And I think 28mm equivalent is just perfect for wide angle photography. I mean, there's the reason why the Ricoh GR3 is so popular, right? GR3, GR4. A discarded, I don't even know what this is. I know it's used for the Buddhist prayers. Is it used to burn incense or something? I don't know. I don't know what. I know it's used in a temple for prayers and stuff. It's just being discarded. It's just kind of sad because something that used to be so important, so highly regarded, right? And why it's important, you can see the way they design it, they paint it in bright yellow and red. You know that this item has its significance, but once it's outlived its usefulness, it's just discarded by the drain. It's kind of sad, and yet it still sparkles. It's kind of sad. Again, a lot of greens this time for whatever reason. I don't know why. A lot of greens. It wasn't planned, so I like portraits of strangers. So instead of going like super close up that I normally use to do with my 45 1.8 and 25 f1.8, with a wide angle lens, if I go near like that, it'll create a lot of unwanted distortion. The face will not look very flattering. So one way to take a good portrait is to do environmental portrait, to show what's in the background, to show what's in the foreground, to add a little bit of context and layers to tell a better story of that photograph of this man, right? So that's what I was trying to do, an environmental portrait of the man. Yeah. Another environmental portrait, although this one is more candid. This guy was just chilling at the side there at his stall at the 5-foot way of the shops, right? So I like that the colors, the tone here is very warm. So I maintain the warmth. I can easily kill the warmth by tuning down the white balance, move the slider towards the left, towards the cooler side of things. But I intentionally left the warmth tint in it because it just matches very well with the red fan on the table and the red shirt that the man is wearing. So the warm tones and the redness of some of the elements, it just makes the shot look a little bit better. Yeah. A very typical street shot, a man walking by. I just like this scene because there's a lot of vertical lines and it's almost like a black and white scene versus the patch of grass at the back and the man's blue jeans, right? those colors pop. But other than that, I think it makes the man pop because the strip of grass that leads to the man, and the man wearing the blue jeans also sort of stands out from otherwise a monochromatic photograph. And I just like the lines. The reason I took this photograph is because of all the vertical lines. Yeah, that's obviously a car park of a building. Yeah. A man watering plants, quite self-explanatory. I'm very drawn to colors during my street photography sessions. So there's like a lot of greens here, and the fact that the man is wearing bright orange, that's a bonus. And at the background, you can see there's a bright blue with all the patches of light from the morning. Everything just comes together very nicely. Yeah. I went up in apartments, so this was shot from a residence. It's not really street photography anymore. I'm encroaching into private property, but I was also very aware of what I was doing, and I was trying not to break any law. I mean, if there are any security guards or any people approaching me, then I'll of course respond accordingly. But yeah, nothing happened. Me and my friend, we were roaming around this place. This was shot from a balcony of a residence in Bukit Bintang. Right, just to show you what's happening in the city. And this was the residence. It's a flat with some very colorful walls and some laundry being placed at the railings of the corridor. It's very interesting. I have a wide angle lens, so I want some wide angle scenes that I can capture. That's it. Those are the shots that I have to share. There are some more shots which I did not include here. You'll see them next Thursday. It's a video about why we need more pancake lenses from OM Digital Solutions and Panasonic. And all these shots were taken with the Panasonic 14 f2.5. I think it is an excellent lens. Not the best lens out there, not the sharpest lens out there, but it is so small, so light, and it's so cheap as well in the used market. And I enjoy using it. I think it does produce some excellent street photography images. Let me drink more water. Gotta stay hydrated. Drink some coffee and get back to the chat. I have one more set of photographs to share a little bit later. Some coffee. Okay, let's get to the members chat first. Wolfie says the cheapest full frame with image stabilization is Panasonic S5, S5 Mark II, Z5, Z5 Mark II. Z5 is by far way cheaper than S5. And Z5 has face detection autofocus, which the S5 does not have. So I'll rank the Z5 way higher than the Panasonic S5, both 24 megapixels. Which says, I'm turning 38 this autumn. Wow. And I slept the wrong way last night. Oh my god. And now my neck and spine is so painful. My body requires certain body position. Nobody told me not to get old sooner. Oh, I know, right? Yeah, it happens to me as well. Mine is not so much on my back, but my neck. Sometimes I don't know how. You don't really know what you do in your sleep, right? You turn your neck the wrong way and that's it. The next morning you have a stiff neck. I mean, when we sleep, we just sleep, right? And we move, you're not conscious. Len says, I love my EPL7. I love my EPL7 as well. It still produces fantastic output. It's light and small. It has top tag, but it's 14 years old. Why are they not relaunching updated system? The market is crying out. I know, right? Like pen light, EPL11. We need that now. Len says, thanks for the Shuttershot fits. It is also available in EPL7 if you have updated the firmware. Originally, it wasn't in the EPL7, but they added that fix in the EPL7. Ha! Uvi says, I find it very funny that OM has one of the best market opportunity that they ignore vlogging market with image stabilization, flipped screen, audio and mic jack, real-time face tracking, and tiny light lenses. I don't know. Well, that's not really OM's market, right? That's Panasonic's market. They are ignoring it, and Panasonic is the video expert, right? They were the one targeting videographers, cinematographers. Then, you know what happened? I wouldn't pin this on OM Digital Solutions. I'll look harder at Panasonic. Luffy says, everyone else is falling in most absurd and hilarious, no image stabilization, and a bloody camera that you are supposed to work with. Yeah. Yeah, no perfect cheap camera, right? Luffy says, thanks for fixing shutter shock on EM1. I suffered for years on Panasonic GS7, never fixed using electronic shutter, a severe IQ penalty. Yeah, like instead of getting
12-bit RAW, you get 10-bit RAW, right? Something like that. Maximum ISO 3200. 10-bit RAW, I just mentioned that. And 1 second shutter speed. And you cannot use flash, right? I mean, like if you want to use it for, let's say, macro photography, you can't, right? Yeah. Let's see. Your message disappeared. What did you type in that message? Must have been something inappropriate. Wolfie says, I don't know if Panasonic knows how to make a pancake lens anymore. It couldn't make one with autofocus with the S9. That's kind of sad, right? And Nikon had a 26 f2.8 pancake, right? My goodness. Or was it f2.8? Maybe it wasn't f2.8. I can't remember. Wolfie says Panasonic 14 f2.5 came with the second wave of Panasonic lenses in 2009 after the original launch of G1 in 2008. It came at the same time with Panasonic 25 f1.4. It was I wouldn't say it's the best of lenses. It has its problems. The chromatic aberration is something. But it's so small, you know, like it's so cheap. I'll be more forgiving with the flaws, right? Wolfie says, wonderful street pictures, Robin. They are lovely as always. Thank you so much, Wolfie. I appreciate that. Fun fact, the Panasonic 14 f2.5 is the best lens in the entire Macro Four Thirds catalog for infrared photography. It's the sharpest and has no hotspots at all. Interesting. I haven't gone into infrared photography yet, so I can't say anything. And yet Panasonic is failing the worst at vlogging because G100 has no image stabilization, G9 has no flippy screen, and GM has no image stabilization. GF hasn't been updated. I seriously don't know what they're doing, right? There's so much potential. I'm sure they can see it. They just don't do it. Like, why? It just doesn't make any sense. Okay. Ollie says, complete weather sealing is a selling point. Processing power must be improved so you're not held back waiting for a camera to fill the card. I haven't had any issue waiting for the camera to fill the card when I shoot with Olympus or Panasonic. Even when I use burst, it has always been very fast. And then I use the Fuji. Let's just say, yeah, the wait was amazing. Jared says, OM Digital Solutions hasn't released a single new product. It has simply repackaged what remained of Olympus' legacy of OM3 into a new body. What do you mean? OM3 was using OM1's camera, right? And OM1 was not launched by Olympus. So OM3 was using the processor and image sensor from OM1. How can you say that it's from the Olympus? It doesn't make any sense. Facts are facts, right? Sunday says, hi Robin, how are you doing? I'm doing alright. Good to see you here. Sunday says, any exciting recently upcoming? I've said it in my updates already, so let me just go to the scene here quickly. That's the event that I talked about earlier. You can check out the earlier mention of this event if you have not done so. Ho says, I think Panasonic saw the potential of fixed lens compact rangefinder camera because of Fuji X100 hype. That's why they developed the LX10. Or is it LX100? Because LX10 is not really rangefinder, right? It's LX100. Yeah. Sharpness is not everything. I agree. Rendering of the lens is more important. And the rendering of the LX100 is horrible. I'll choose the rendering of a kit lens from the 1232 and Olympus 1442 over whatever they put in the LX100 and LX10. The rendering of those lenses, they're flat, uninteresting, they're horrible. You're right. Sharpness is not everything. Give me something interesting. Ho says, if OM can make a pan camera with a 14mm pancake lens, I'm sure there will be a market for that. OM need to do a market research for that. Why do we even need to do a market research? Just make it. Like, why are you so blind? Why can't you see that what the market wants? Oh my goodness. This actual screen says, with Gen Z and Alpha, a sharp image is at the least thing they want. Okay. Suba says, it's okay the terrible lens will be plastered by horrible LUTs. You won't see the imperfections. Michael says, I think Macro Four Thirds has a real future, but not as a mass market system. It is becoming more of a specialist practical photographer's format. In order for them to have a future, they need to sell. In order for them to sell, if they can sell well, it will be reflected in the market share. Now, the market share is not the latest because we don't have the latest number. From last year, we see the market share is around 3 to 4%. Are you saying that the numbers don't matter?
If the numbers or the market share doesn't matter, if the market share drops to 1%, 0.5%, are you still confident that there is a future? What I'm trying to do here, what I'm trying to make happen here is to make people see that at least Panasonic and OM System need to do something to increase the market share a little bit. I don't think 10% is a lot to ask for. If they can maintain at 10%, 12% market share, I think they'll be very healthy for the survival of Micro Four Thirds. Nobody is going to ask Micro Four Thirds to compete with full frame. Nobody is going to ask Micro Four Thirds to take over Sony. That's not going to happen. But are you seriously telling me that if Micro Four Thirds drop to 0.1% market share in the future, that's the future that you think will survive? I don't see any chance of survival there. And if they don't do anything soon, from 4% becomes 3%, from 3% become 2%, from 2% will become 1%, and when that happens, it's not hard to see that both Panasonic and OM Digital Solutions will both just shut down their business. Zimi says, agree, they need more. Yeah, Michael says, Micro Four Thirds is probably not going to dominate again. Nobody's gonna asking them to dominate. Like, you're looking at things not the right way. Now it's about surviving. Because if they don't do anything, they will never survive. Yeah. Elmia says, there certainly is if they focus a bit more in the budget market. Yes, they need to. Camille says, hello from Canada. Hey Camille, how are you? Leonardo said, just wanted to say thank you for always blessing us with your positive and happy vibes. In a time where a lot of stuff going wrong in the world, it's nice to have a positive voice in our day, your day to day. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. Appreciate the kind words. Sunday says, something EM10 with awesome specs to fight with entry-level cameras from Canon, Nikon, and Sony. It's not hard to see, right? Why can't they see it? Kong says, OM needs to roll out the Super Zoom compact camera. Why? What's the reason? Cuttlefish says, I think they should focus on things like Pan series, agreed, but revised for people in the younger generation like myself, the aesthetic and compactness is huge. Narrow in on street photography. 100% agree with you, Cuttlefish. Real Tech Git says, Canon, Nikon, Sony, even their mid-range are so expensive. 2700, A7 Mark III. A7 Mark III is not a mid-range, that's a workhorse. A7 Mark III is not 1800 anymore. It's in Malaysia, you can get for like around maybe $1,000. It's not 1800. 1800 is more like A7 Mark IV territory already. R8 has a small battery. So what? Bring more batteries. Why is a small battery a problem? You can carry 5 batteries. I mean, I don't see the problem with that. Philip says, shooting video multicam got still. Micro Four Thirds, GH5, 5S, 67, best image shot raw. I got better, faster result with color grading with S5 2X and S9. Okay, that's on Panasonic side. Ollie says Micro Four Thirds is spooky good with image stabilization. That's why I still use them. Okay, that's good. All right. No, you are going. Don't understand. Jared says, why not make a digital Olympus XA with no autofocus, no screen, small fixed lens, and clamshell design? Will anyone buy it? Just because you buy it doesn't mean that a lot of people will buy it, right? And at this point, we need people to buy. If no one is buying it, then there's no point making it. Yeah. Elmia says, if they can just release budget cameras with weather sealing, then I think that will fly off. Hopefully they do. Bionic says, Robin, the 4150 I bought was a 4/3 version. Yeah, I realized that when you mentioned you need an adapter. I didn't know there was 2 kinds of 4/3. There was only one kind. Micro 4/3 is Micro 4/3, right? It's mirrorless. Yeah. And Peel says, Robin, tough question. A7R Mark IV or A9 Mark III? A7R marks... That's Mark 6, right? Sorry, not Mark 4, Mark 6. Or A9 Mark III. I haven't looked at the A9 Mark III extensively. Let me see. A9 Mark III is R6. They're both about the same size. I guess if you want more megapixels, go for A7R6. Right. Because A9 Mark III has 24 megapixels, whereas the A7R Mark VI, it gives you 66.8 megapixels. If you want resolution, if you want speed, then A9 Mark III. So it depends on your priority. Simon says, lack of new firmware is a problem. I found hard at wedding you can't turn off exposure simulation in OM5 Mark II except by using laggy night vision. Okay, support doesn't know if there will be any software update. That's interesting, right? Why did they remove the live view boost? I don't understand. That's quite strange. Because I've always relied on the live view boost, and the live view boost has always been, I mean, that's when you turn off the simulation, and it's always been very smooth. Yeah, that's why I don't enjoy using OM1 to do my macro photography as well, because the night vision is very laggy. I understand what you mean. It just doesn't make sense. It was perfect the way it was, and then they introduced the night vision, which just makes things a lot worse. It's like taking 5 steps backwards. It just doesn't make any sense. Zimi says, thank you, Robin. We'll watch this. No worries. Thanks for being here. Ollie says, I like having lenses in my jacket pocket. There's another selling point with Micro Four Thirds. I wish I can wear jackets here in Malaysia, though. It's so hot. Yeah. Ovi says, OM5 is a better vlogging camera than anything Panasonic has made so far. Let's not rub the Panasonic fans the bad way. Some of these Panasonic fanboys can be quite toxic. I know what you guys talk about me. I know. Ovi says, if you don't feed your chickens OM, the chickens won't give you any eggs. That's true. I got my Nikon 51.4 and 2470 f4. I got to test them for a few days. I'm blown away how good the lenses are for 300 to 335 pounds each on the used market. They are small and light. Yeah. Nikon lenses. Yeah, Nikon, they know how to make lenses. I've used Nikon lenses before and I know what they are capable of. Very good lenses. Ho says, bringing into attention about shutter shock is interesting. A lot of recent releases after EM1 uses only back curtain. The Panasonic GS850 series ditch front curtain as well as A7C series. Yeah. Zimi says, there are so many good cameras, it's hard to choose. Choice is good, right? Catalyst says, what do you think of true 1:1 ratio Micro Four Thirds size sensor, for example, to take advantage of full image circle from said lenses? I don't get what you mean. I don't understand. Watch says, do you think Olympus will bring computational photography to increase dynamic range? Smartphone like photo stacking? No, I don't think so. As much as people think that the smartphone photos are like, oh, so magic, right? So good. But then if you really look at the images, they really are horrible. I don't like them. Suba says, my dream camera is the EM5 Mark II magnesium alloy body with the newest chip and sensor in it, EM5 Ultimate. I don't think we'll get back to that. I think they're sticking with the OM5 plastic body from now onwards. Zimi says, guarantee 2031 OM Mark II. I hope they will last this long. Okay. Cuttlefish says, thanks for the video link on those 10 missing lenses. No worries. The From says, L10 is a good kickstart to Micro Four Thirds. It's not even a Micro Four Thirds camera. Ollie Hansen says, I buy third-party lenses for Micro Four Thirds, but they are made in China. Some people may not like that. As long as you enjoy using the lenses that you have, doesn't matter where they are made, right? iPhone is made in China. I don't hear people complaining about iPhone being made in China. Catalyst says, I'm surprised you're not using SG Image 25 f1.8. Why are you surprised? The fact that you said that you're surprised I'm not using SG Image 25 f1.8 shows that you're very new to this channel, because I've made so many videos showing how much I love the Olympus 25 1.8. Why are you surprised? I don't see the reason to be surprised. Anthony says, your channel gets a lot of exposure in the Micro Four Thirds community as well as respected, so I'm sure OM system engineers are watching your YouTube channel. Okay, Zimi says, I never heard of the 14 f2.5. Now you have. Ho says, in my opinion, some of your shots with motion blurs are interesting. Those were not intentional because I shot with P. Well, in a way, it's intentional because when I look at the motion, I know that the camera will not decide the fast enough shutter speeds. I can either override the settings or just let it be blurred. So I chose to just maintain the blur. But then again, it's like, if I were to do my usual settings, usually I will choose to freeze them, usually. It's just reflex, right? It's just that in that moment I was like, nah, just let the camera decide whatever. Well, says they show action and movement, giving extra context to the shots. Thank you so much. And it says, I already have contacted OM System North America. My attitude is squeaky. Will get grease. A new camera that's for the great outdoors should not be made worse over an older model. Hopefully they listen to you. Ollie says, I may use a manual focus wide angle at f1.6 at hyperfocal distance with tape locking the focus. Shoot from the hip. No autofocus, no go for Robin. Thomas says, I like to use a special character or longer file names instead of, okay, I could set it up to that. It would help when shooting with multiple cameras and organization. Easier to read too. Okay, never thought of that. MFS says, this third-party lens looks interesting. Any thoughts about SG Image 25 f1.8? You can't buy it yet, right? Let me check. SG Image website. SG Image website. Let's look together. Okay, so this is SG Image official website. Products. Autofocus lenses. So we're talking about SG Image 25 f1.8, right? This is from the official website. What are the options? E mount, X mount, Z mount. Where is Micro Four Thirds? If I can't buy it, then why do you ask me to use it? Or why are you surprised that I'm not using it? How can I have it if I can't purchase it? If I can't purchase it, how can you be surprised that I don't have it? I fail to connect all these dots. Like, this is the official site. The official site, right? It's not there. So, I don't know, man. Like, I can't make a lens appear out of thin air. Either they have to contact me. I mean, seriously, how many Micro Four Thirds content creators there are out there? I don't think there's that many, right? And yeah, I can't just make things appear out of nowhere, right? Seriously. Anyway. Ollie says, I learned a lot from shooting film that helps me when using digital. Okay. I never dropped a Micro Four Thirds camera to the ground. Happened a few times. To recall, they still work despite it being dropped. Have I dropped? I've dropped lenses. I've dropped my 75 f1.8. My goodness. Cameras. I have not dropped it myself, but it was the E5. It was my camera and my flash, so I have the E5. I can't remember what lens was on, but I have the FL50R flash on it. It was during an event. And I don't know why. I was not holding the camera. I passed it to my colleague. I was working for Olympus at that time. So my ex-colleague, at that time was my colleague, he was holding the camera and lens. I didn't know what happened. When I went off, maybe I went to the toilet. Let's just say I went to the toilet for 5 minutes, I came back. And you can see the guilt in his face. He looked at me, Robin, I'm so sorry. And I looked down at the camera, the flash was like shattered. There were like pieces. The flash has become pieces. I didn't ask what happened. I said, it's fine, don't worry. I mean, I didn't ask what happened, but I guess he dropped it. Yeah. The camera was fine though. It's just the flash. Of course, I don't even know if the flash can be fixed. So what he did was because we were working for Olympus, right? So he sent it to the service, and I think a week or two later, a unit came back to me. I didn't even question if it's the same unit or if it's a completely new one, but could have been a new one. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, that was scary. That was scary. Yeah, let's see any members chat. Square aspect ratio. Turning Micro Four Thirds into micro square sensor. Robin, I know you have a Nikon DSLR and Olympus DSLR. Do you find any the tiny optical viewfinder on Olympus DSLR more difficult or annoying to use compared to Nikon? No, I'm fine with the optical viewfinder. I've never had any complaint with the optical viewfinder really. I never had any issue. Wolfie says, I am looking to get a DSLR and I'm almost settled between Nikon D80 and D90, but Olympus E620 keeps begging me deep inside my subconscious just for some fun old school shooting experience. I would actually go for D80. I have this E620. Oh, that's not a very fair comment, right? I already have the E620. I want a D80. I've been there was this someone selling D80. I was like, I'm this close of buying it, but I don't need it. So yeah. OM1, OM3 can change the file naming of 3 letters that you want. I used to have mine WOF. Alright, that makes sense. Let me read a few more chat and then we'll go to the photo sharing. Yeah. Jer says, the OM1 was developed entirely by Olympus, which is why it was still allowed to bear the Olympus name. No, it wasn't 100% developed by Olympus. It was allowed to use the name Olympus was because at that time everything was still Olympus. They haven't changed, they haven't mandated that they cannot use the brand Olympus yet. Right? That happened after, like way after. They can still use the Olympus name, no problem. All it says, the cameras you want to use with battery grip should allow that. The OM System OM5 Mark II does not give that option. That is a deal breaker for some buyers. But then if you want a battery grip, then just get the OM1. This side towards screen says, OM System needs to put out a Kodak Chamera style viral camera to get some cash flow. I did a new video on Kodak Chamera. It's kind of sad, you know? It's kind of sad. I'm just going to tell you guys this. My videos on Kodak Chamera are getting more views and making more money from my Kodak Chamera videos compared to my Micro Four Thirds videos. It is very sad. And I would like to think that what I do in the Micro Four Thirds community matters and will be better received. People will watch it more. But it seems that I get more attention and more views on my Kodak Chamera videos. That's why I made another one. Kind of sad, really sad. All it says, my next photo trip will be with an insanely heavy Nikon D700. I will need a hit to hit the gym soon. Every time I do that, Princess Diana dies. D700, wow. I have the D600. Haven't used it in a while. I should probably sell it or just give it away to someone. Michael says, OM and Panasonic should make Micro Four Thirds feel like a living ecosystem, not two lonely companies sharing an old mount. I guess if they want to make it happen, they would have made it happen like 10 years, 15 years ago. The fact that it feels like what it feels today, if it still feels that way today, then I don't think any change will happen in the future. It's just going to be like that until forever, right? Yeah. Shoujo says, we'd like to see a Panasonic Micro Four Thirds with Ricoh GR4 form factor, but with a metal build. Okay, they can do that, just they don't want to. Ollie says the plastic is used for construction helmets. If it was not impact resistant, they would use a different material. It's very strong. I trust the better plastic cameras. I agree. I was in construction before and I use plastic safety helmets all the time. Tomato says, I don't blame OM for targeting wildlife. Technically speaking, Micro Four Thirds strength play to it. I disagree. But they haven't been serious enough to make a 1000 f4 lens with 2x teleconverter. I disagree. I mean, if Micro Four Thirds is so amazing for wildlife, then everyone would have switched. And yet, I see a lot of my wildlife photographer friends still prefer to use Sony, Canon, Nikon. They have tried Micro Four Thirds. They still go back to Sony, Canon, Nikon. I don't have to ask them why. It's so obvious. Tomato says, also wildlife photographers usually have a bigger budget for that bigger bazooka. Yeah, I'm not questioning, they have money. Wolfie says, thanks, that's very highly praised. I want to get one and they are pretty cheap these days. I had the Olympus E620, but I don't like that there are options 2 primes and 4 thirds and nothing under 25mm. Yeah, lens selection is quite limited for 4 thirds. I would love to have the Nikon D700. I don't have the D700, I have the D600. Did I say D700? I had the D600. But then again, it is in a very bad condition. And my signature is not worth anything, Wolfie, seriously. Alright, I'm gonna go to second set of photo sharing, but let me drink some water first to stay hydrated. One more set of photographs before we call it a night, right? We have 101 people watching. A few more drops of coffee left. So good. For this second set of photographs, like Woofy and some members, you might have seen it. 2 live streams ago, I shared these photographs. So this is a public live stream, so I haven't shared this yet. But I bought a Canon camera, a silver Canon 350D. It's an 8 megapixels CMOS sensor, very old camera. Everything is fully functional, and I quite enjoy using it. I love that it only has 8 megapixels. It's not extremely fast. It has like very tiny LCD screen at the back. Yeah, I brought it to Sekinchan. I was tagging along my friend John. John is a member on this channel. He's not online tonight. He had a job there. I have nothing to do with his job. He was shooting a pre-wedding for a couple, but a few days before the job, we went to location to scout the shooting spots. And I was just tagging along doing my own thing and help when I can, right? So he was generous enough to have me tag along. So I thought there would be the perfect place to play with the Canon 350D. Why Canon 350D? I had the Canon 5D before, 5D full frame, the first original 5D. I loved it. I love the colors, but I don't like the size and the weight. It was monstrous. So I sold it to a friend, also a member in this channel. He's not online tonight. I sold that camera to a member. And then I miss the Canon colors. I think Canon, I wouldn't say that they have the best colors in the industry, but it does have a certain look to it. And I do enjoy Canon colors more than Nikon colors. I'm not going to compare with others, right? Because these are very, very, very old cameras. So as far as old DSLRs go, comparing Nikon to Canon directly, I prefer Canon colors. So I look around the internet, the local used market, and the cheapest camera that I could find from Canon, cheapest DSLR, was this Canon 350D. It was so cheap, I dare not tell you the price. All right, these are the photographs I've taken at Sekinchan. Oops, this was the last shot actually. So it's the first shot. So a girl on the, what do you call that? Swing. There's a swing, right? Don't worry, I know she's a minor. The parents are nearby. I took a photo of her and I let the parents see the photo. The parents gave me the permission. No problem whatsoever. And Sekinchan is known for a few things. One is at the seaside. So you do see some beach, some ocean view. And it's also a paddy field. It's a paddy rice plantation. So you get to see a lot of open space with a lot of greens. And because it's near the ocean, there's a fishing village nearby. So you're going to see a mix of these few elements, the ocean, the fishing village, as well as the paddy field, the rice plantation, right? That's my friend Andrew, who tagged along. He was playing with some of his film compact cameras. He brought along, what did he bring? He also had a manual focus lens on his Sony. He probably brought his Sony camera at that time. Sony full frame camera. And that's my friend John, vlogging with his DJI Pocket 3. You can see the background is the paddy plantation. Both Andrew, that's a paddy plantation as well. That's a paddy plantation. That's my friend John. He was the one that has the job coming up in a few days after this, when we were there on this day. And he's just there to scout for locations for his pre-wedding shoot. Yeah. There's people zooming by in the vehicles to grab the shot. It's so nice having the rice plantation at the back, the paddy field. There's something very peaceful being there, like wide open, no buildings, not even a proper tar road, right? These are what we call, during my engineering days, crusher run, or just rocks, right? It's something very charming about being there, something very peaceful. We woke up very early in the morning, went out, and these people were dusting the crop or spraying pesticide. And because of that, I did not prepare. So I don't have mask or anywhere to protect myself. So I didn't want to go too near. I had the Yongnuo 35 f2 lens, which gives me about 55 equivalent focal length. I mean, it's not a bad focal length to work with. It's just that if I need to go nearer, I have to move myself physically nearer. I don't have a tele lens, and I did not want to do that out of safety reasons. Hey, pesticides, man. Like, seriously, I'm not gonna inhale all these chemicals, right? So I decided to shoot from a distance. I know the shot would have been better if I go nearer, blah, 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 blah. If I use a different lens, blah, 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 blah. But that's not the purpose of that day. I just wanted to have fun. It was morning. It was so nice seeing the sunset at the paddy field. I was with my friends. This was as close as I can get. I don't want to go any closer. Yeah. Spraying the pesticide. And of course, they are done with this spraying. They want to move on to another location, and they were on their bikes, zooming by, and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to do some panning shots and see how the cameras... actually, panning doesn't really require that much skill. What you need to do is shutter speed must be slow, right? 1/30th, 1/60th, depending on how fast the subject travels. What you must make sure is that, your camera and the subject, as the subject moves, your camera must move perfectly in line with the subject's movement, right? If the camera and the subject are locked perfectly, then the subject will be sharp, the background will be blur. Yeah, that's the trick. You just have to make sure your camera and the subject they are perfectly aligned as you move, as you pan. Anything not aligned, everything will be blur. That's the trick. So yeah, you can try that next time. Some birds flying off the branches of the tree. Looks like opening to a horror movie, right? Just closer to the paddy field. I only have one lens, 35 f2. So there's only so much I can do with that lens. I just love the colors. Just so vibrant, so lively, Canon colors, yeah. Another panning shot, if I can do it one time, I can do it more. I had quite a lot of panning shots, not all successful because I obviously did not align my camera or the lens and the subject perfectly. Sometimes it's a little bit off and everything is blur. But I did have enough success rates or keepers to show. So this is the second panning shot for the day. So yeah. And then we visited the fishing village. I like how the morning light comes in. It's directional, so it's very dramatic. I like that there's a part of the wall where the altar was for the praying. That part was freshly painted in bright, bold red. In contrast with everything, it's like a pale blue or grey. It just makes that part pop. And I just love how there's a man there doing his own thing. So yeah. Of course, there's a dog. And the dog just looked at me. And so I grabbed a shot of the dog. And it's a fishing village, so there are a lot of ships, fishermen, and you can see some of them are on the boat. Of course, I don't have a very long lens. If I have 85 or longer, I can, of course, zoom in closer. But that's the furthest I can shoot. And I was already at the edge of the platform. Another step, I will be in the water. So yeah, and one of the worker drying some seafood, I guess, putting the seafood to dry. Yep. And the whole place smells of seafood. It's crazy. You see the steam coming off those, I think those are dried shrimps. Man, the smell is it's an event by itself. So man reaching down. I like stuff like that. Like someone doing something suddenly, I just grab a shot to see how fast the camera responds. Obviously the camera responded very well. Right, and of course I asked the guy if I can have a shot of him taken. So he said yes. So I grabbed a shot of him from a distance. So instead of going very close like what I normally do, because of this special location, I want to show the platform. I want to show the empty plastic containers. I want to show a little bit of background to give context of where the man is and what he's doing. So yeah, instead of like very close-up shot, I had a wide environmental shot using the same lens. Just because you don't have a wide-angle lens doesn't mean you cannot do a wide-angle environmental shot. You just have to step back a little bit and get a shot, right? Yeah. A show of all the colorful plastic containers laying down all over the place. And this is the last shot of the dog sleeping in one of the containers. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the very short session. It was an enjoyable trip. I had some good times with my friends, John and Andrew. You guys may not know this, but John and Andrew, they were the people, besides Rob Track, of course. Rob Track was the important person, but it was John and Andrew who inspired me to start my live stream. They had a photography live stream podcast for like 3 years, 2-3 years, every week. Right, locally in Malaysia, of course, so you guys may not have heard of them. So they were doing it every week, every Wednesday, sometimes Thursday. John and Andrew, they both co-host the podcast live, right? And and I see what Rob has been doing on his channel, Rob Track, and John and Andrew, and I decided, why don't I do this and give it a try? So it was a lot of thanks to these two friends that have this live stream. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy the short sharing session. Drink more coffee. We are 6 minutes to midnight. I'm going to read the remaining chat and then we'll call it a night. Let's drink more water. Okay, let's go to members first. Wolfie says, it is worth for me. I wouldn't sell it because it has your signature. Oh, come on. I'm just like everyone else. I'm just like you, trying to have fun doing photography, right? I'm not anyone that special. Wolfie says, I have one too. It works well. I love how beautiful pictures it can make and how simple it is. I just don't have a good lens for it. A Canon 3580 f4 to f5.6. I'm looking for, I used to have this lens, 50 f1.8 Mark II. Not the STM version. I'm looking for that lens again in a used market. I might nab one at a very good price, of course. This is why I was looking for a DSLR, something that is a bit more comfortable to shoot, bright, pentaprism, bad eyesight, dual dial. Unfortunately, it only has a single dial. Sadly, I wish this has dual dial. Decently compact and light for hand tremors. Yeah, this is actually very small and light. I mean, it's an entry-level DSLR, right? 350D. It looks good. I mean, come on, silver DSLR. It looks so good, right? It looks so good. Come on, I'm gonna put it down here. Yeah. JTech says, yeah, Canon colors are very nice. I love Olympus for that same reason. Great reds and blues from Olympus cameras. Green and blues from Fuji are amazing as well. We are blessed in choices. Yeah. Azhar says, oh my, it's beautiful. What's beautiful? The camera. Uvi says, actually, I love the shot from that distance. I can see other people spraying in the distance, which builds on the story and the frame. I adore that picture. I normally will take like multiple different composition, a wider shot like what you've seen. Of course, some closer ones, but then again, like I said, safety, right? I don't want to inhale all these chemicals. You know, Uvi says, Robin, your country is so colorful, it makes UK look like a 1920s silent black and white movie. Yeah, I don't take that for granted. I realize that now. A lot of people told me, wow, you have a lot of colors to work with in your country. And that is truly something that I try to play to the strengths every time I take my photographs. Yeah. Dogs. Yeah, the dogs are cute. Thanks, Wolfie. I appreciate the kind words. Tomato says, I wish I could buy prints of some of those photos, Robin. I don't mind giving the photos away and you make the prints yourself. Like, these shots were not made to be sold. I did not take these photographs with the intention of making money, right? So if you want the photographs, just drop me an email. Just tell me which one you want. I'll just send you the photographs and you can print. But then again, these are 8 megapixels. I might have cropped them down a little bit, so they may be only about 6-7 megapixels. So you may not be able to make very large prints unless you do some upscaling work, which is a different story. Oh, Wolfie, I'm not anyone's mentor. I share as much as I can. I don't hold back, and when I share, I really share 100%. But yeah, I don't think I'm anyone's mentor. Single dial and no auto ISO. Yeah, no auto ISO, right? It's auto or even P for professional. Yeah. Okay, let's get to non-members chat. Let's see. Simon says, after he dropped it, he became ex. No. He outlasted me. When I left the company, he was still working for the company. So yeah, Catalyst says, time to switch to Chimera content. Yeah, I have one coming up. I just made one, what's it on Tuesday? 2 days ago. Tomoka says, I just got my first Micro Four Thirds, an Olympus EM1 original and the Panasonic 14-140. Compared to the Sony a6400 and ZV-E10, camera is quite heavier, but pictures are nice. Getting next, the 45 f1.8. Of course, I think the EM1 you can't really compare with the A6400 and the ZV-E10 because the EM1 was the flagship, the first professional grade camera made by Olympus. It's a flagship camera, right? And it has magnesium alloy built, which is very strong, and it's weather sealed. So having these components, you cannot make it too small and too light. Yeah. If you want lighter cameras, there's EM10, EPL series camera, right? Yeah. Suba says, forget wildlife angle, make a PanF Street edition with updated internals, add recipe functionality, massive social media campaign to push it, will sell like hotcakes. Yeah, I don't know what will it take to make them see that and make them want to do that. I think they are not going to give up wildlife campaign anytime soon. They are too deep into it, and I don't know what will it take. What would it take to make them see that the wildlife is a lost cause? It's not working. Come on, it's not working. Like, seriously. This at screen says, we need Robin Wong Micro Four Thirds camera. Let the Kickstarter begin. Where do I throw my money? Nah. I'm happy using what they have, and honestly, OM Digital Solutions and Panasonic, they make great cameras. They are just a little bit lost in the direction. And that's why I'm doing this live stream here to nudge them to the right direction. Whether they listen or not, I don't care. But I just have to say something, right? Like the wildlife is not the right way to go. And, you know, obviously you need to make your camera smaller and lighter. Come on, you know. These are the things that they have to pay attention to, right? Yeah. Thank you so much, Zimi. Marky says, I still have my Canon 300D. It's working great. I don't mind playing with 300D, hey. Yeah. Cuttlefish said, I see what you mean about the colors. Really nice. I know, right? And I did not even edit the colors. It's almost straight out of camera. Ollie says, I learned to color match cameras so that I can use different brands on the same event. They will all match in the final results. Yeah, but still, you can't. You can't. It's different. Unless you edit them to a totally different color. Let's say you edit the Canon to a different color profile, and then you use another camera and match it to this profile. You can't really match, let's say, an Olympus camera to a Canon profile. It doesn't work that way. Thanks, Zimi. Appreciate that. Oh, that's too kind of you, Suba. Thanks, Ollie. Appreciate the kind words. Cuttlefish says, yeah, the UK is very great how to find nice areas. Yeah, I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. Wolfie says, Robin, have you heard of the Viltrox camera? Will be something you might be interested to test. It's just $30 in China. Viltrox camera. I never heard of that. Let's search. Viltrox camera. I don't see it coming up on my search. There's no such thing. It's a Viltrox camera. All I see are lenses. Sorry, I don't see anything. Viltrox camera. There is the external screen monitor. I don't see any. Sorry, I don't see anything. I've scrolled down very far already. Nothing. I don't know if you heard of GTA 6 pre-orders. What is GTA? I've started officially and no physical disc option. Sony announced they will stop releasing PlayStation games on disc. Understand? Okay. That's a different world altogether. From 2028, the death of physical copies and ownership of media and games has arrived. It has made me severely depressed. Yeah, everything is online now, right? Or streaming, or everything is on the cloud, right? Len says, even Insta360 knows how to market the system. Even they've brought out the Charmera edition Go 3S camera. Uvi says, it's similar to Charmera, but with a larger UI with semi-transparent plastic. I didn't see that. It's not up on my search. Petapixel has an article out and they talk about it on their podcast yesterday. Let's look at Petapixel. Okay, I haven't seen anything yet. Fujifilm's Quick Snap. That's not it. Petapixel. I think you're talking about Godox, not Viltrox. Right, Wolfie? Godox C100 with a screenless camera with a transparent display. I don't think it's Viltrox, it's Godox. Godox, the flash maker, not the camera maker, not the lens maker, right? Okay, Zimi says, I love the panning shots. Thank you so much, appreciate that. Cuttlefish says, not anyone's mentor. I think you're a mentor inspiration for everyone here. I don't know. I don't think I qualify, and I don't think having a mentor, well, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but like if I teach you, all right, if I become your mentor, it's more like I'm telling you to be like me, and I don't want that. I want you to explore on your own. I share everything that I have already on YouTube. You can apply whatever you want, but you have to find your own way and develop your own style. And me being the mentor, I'll just force you, or even if I don't force you, but you will somehow subconsciously try to see things the way I do. And that's not a very right way to develop as an artist or creative. Definitely not the right way to develop your photography style. Yeah. But then again, I don't hold back. Whatever that I have to share, I've already shared it on my YouTube, right? You guys see that. I really share everything. Every single thing. Everything I have is here. I don't hold back. Faris says, hello, once I have Micro Four Thirds system camera, it's a Panasonic GF1, but I saw it and changed to Canon DSLR. Long story short, after several years, I'm looking for Micro Four Thirds just for hobbies. All right, that's cool. Come back to Micro Four Thirds. Ollie says, my next Micro Four Thirds camera will have 2 card slots. That's important for event shooting the way I shoot. There's so many Micro Four Thirds cameras with dual card slots. No problem. Edward says, whatever company comes up with a pro level rangefinder will clean up. Not my cup of tea, but there is a real desire for one. Fuji almost got it right with the X Pro, and the Pan F was not pro enough. Okay. WT says, gonna buy the OM5 Mark II tomorrow for travel, so anything from landscape to street photography. Have you tried for street photography? I like that people ask me questions. Give me a moment. Even I have to search for my own content, right? I can't just make them appear out of nowhere. Okay, let's see. OM5. I tried it for macro and birding, but I didn't use the OM5 Mark II for street. But then again, if you really look at the OM5 Mark II, it's very similar to OM5 Mark I. It's very similar to EM5 Mark III. And if you look at my earlier content, I have so many EM5 Mark III videos on street photography. So there you go. Yes, it's Godox. No worries, no worries. It's not imposter syndrome. It is very important for you to know, first, you have to know your limits. A lot of people overestimate their capabilities. It's very hard to see that. It's almost very sad. Like, people think that they are better than they are. That's one, I acknowledge my limits. And secondly, if you want to develop as a photographer, you need to find your own way. You can learn from someone certain things, but you should not have the person as your mentor. I don't think that's a very healthy relationship, because especially now, like, all the resources for photography is so available and free. So many YouTube videos you can watch, so many books you can buy, and you just have to bring the camera out and shoot and develop your own style. And you can only learn by doing it. The more you shoot, the better and the faster that you get better, right? You improve much faster. So, like, to have someone constantly droning over you and telling you what to do and telling you what's right and wrong, it's not exactly very healthy. I don't think that's for photography. There are other things that require that, like martial arts. Clearly, you need to learn from the master. You need to learn the basics, the fundamentals, before you can do a fly kick, for example. Or, like, say, for example, in other sports, swimming and tennis, is good for you to have coaches so that the coach will keep you in check, because you need another person to see what you're doing, things like that. But I think for photography, it's a very different game altogether. And I'm not saying the mentor is the worst thing that can happen, but I've seen a lot of mentors, they don't necessarily make the photographers under them or their students better. That's just my observation. Yeah. Oh, so Adams. MS says, Ravin, I wasn't making it up. Jimmy at Red 35 reviewed the SG image. Yeah, it may not be widely listed yet, but reviewers often get early copies before retail releases. Why are you telling me? Tell SG image. I'm not the one with the lens, right? Telling me will not make the lens appear, right? Why are you telling me that? Why don't I have the lens? Why are you surprised that I don't have the lens? You should be telling them, hey, give the lens to Robin. Farid says, I saw your video shot macro using Micro Four Thirds. It's inspired me now. I'm still in love with Panasonic system. May I go to GX7 extension tube with pancake lens? Yeah, you can try it. If you have the 1232, you can attach the extension tube, and there you go. You have a very good macro lens to start. The only problem with that, not a problem, a challenge, is that you need to go very close to the subject, because at, let's say, 32 millimeters or 25 millimeters with extension tube, you need to go like very, very, very near, and some of the insects may not be so tolerable with you going that close. That's the only challenge, right? So you need to find something that may not be easily scared away. Yeah, WT says, cool, I have a look at your older videos. No worries. Ollie says, I love the way you explain how you took a picture that I like by mistake. No worries. WT says, what would you say is your favorite focal length prime for street photography and why? Okay, now I really have to look at my own videos. The most recent one that I did. Okay, 1 year ago. My favorite street lenses. There you go. 15, 25, 45. And I answered why in the video. I guess that's it. We are 10 minutes past midnight. I've answered all questions. I've responded to all chats. I hope you guys found this discussion fruitful. I hope you've enjoyed talking to me about the future of Micro Four Thirds. I want to believe there is a future, but I also have to admit, looking at the reality, that it's not looking very bright. The market share is shrinking year after year, and it is a big concern. But I genuinely want Micro Four Thirds to survive. I want them to do well. And I also believe that both Panasonic and OM Digital Solutions will need to take immediate actions, whatever necessary, to pivot, turn things around, to sell better and get more customers and gain bigger market share. Because if they don't do anything, I think things will continue to decline. And yeah, I just don't want the worst to happen. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the photo sharing session as well. If you do, well, as usual, consider buying me a cup of coffee. That's always appreciated. And yeah, I will see you guys again in the next one. Until then, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.